Well, I'm Ivan Donaldson.
Dennis Schuster. I've been in New Zealand since very early 70s.
Kia ora. My name is Clyde Payton.
My name is Herman Seifried from Seifried Estate.
Yeah, my name's Larry McKenna. In fact, I'll admit to being a Wallabies supporter before anything else, so that's the background.
Planted our first grapes in 73. I chose some Pinot Noir clones from Wairarapa, from the research center at that time. But Pinot Noir Bechtebel was available and we planted in 73. It was not hard, it was bloody hard. Because nobody believed grapes can be grown here. And so financially we had extreme strife. We're buying 40% interest where the going rate was 2.5% and 3%. So because we were an extremely high risk client to anybody.
Newdorf, set up by Tim and Judy Finn back in the late 70s. It was sort of embodying that back to the land movement. Tim and Judy found a piece of dirt with an old homestead and an old cottage and went about creating fine wine.
By the mid-1990s, there were a group of us, I guess you'd say Seifried's, Newdorf, Greenhoff. There was another winery no longer here at that stage, Ruby Bay. So there was a core of about 5 of us. The Southern Pinot Noir Workshop was established back in the very early 90s. That was, I guess, an opportunity for a whole lot of winemakers to get together and start talking seriously about Pinot production.
In the mid-70s, when I guess there was basically no wine coming out of the South Island because everyone thought it was too cold, I and several friends, just hobbyists, started the first vineyard in Canterbury. But after a few years we decided that there were better sites, and that's when I moved up to Waipara. It was one big dry dusty bowl. Out there would have been 4 people growing grapes, and they had a contract and they supplied them to a processor in Marlborough. So there was a lot of scepticism amongst the locals and people were thought to be nutters, but that's just the way it was.
The Pinot in the 70s and early 80s was a rarity. And so the Sant'Elena Pinot, for example, the early vintages I was making, they sold out within 48 hours. I'm not sure people knew what I'm going to be drinking. I had no idea what I was making anyway.
Pegasus Bay were here. My old mate Danny Schuster, Waipara Springs have been around for a long time. They're now sort of amalgamated with Waipara Downs, who are also here from the beginning. It was a very close working relationship. There was borrowing of equipment and all manner of things.
Waipara Hills has been around since early 2006. We've got 3 large vineyards. We've continued to invest in developing what we're growing and how we're growing things. And we think that we're learning our lessons and adding our contribution to growing Waipara as a region.
If you don't start with an idea and an ideal and a thought about Pinot Noir and a limestone, what can it do? There's so much that's talked about it in the old world and in the new world. If you don't try, you're never going to know.
Organic production fits really well with the level of quality that we're aiming for in the vineyard. Obviously low yields, attention to detail, all those things that you need to make great wine, and obviously organic production as well.
I remember when we first established that, I even thought it was crazy myself. 12,000 vines per hectare, hand weeding, biodynamic from the beginning. It was tough, but we got through it, and I wouldn't grow grapes any differently.
We came here because of a scientific report done in 1978 on the remaining areas in New Zealand for viticulture. We didn't know it at the time, but there was a fantastic wine region waiting here to be gobbled up.
The modern district started in about 1980 with Dry River, Atarangi, Chifney and Martinborough Vineyard, and I joined Martinborough Vineyard in 1986 with as the winemaker, but also as the opportunity of being involved in the business.
And we understood if we were going to make it a national industry, we had to get everybody moving in the right direction. So the early information that we got together and the techniques and skills were all passed on. We quickly had the industry up to a level that meant that most of us were making good wine.
I do think I entered the wine industry at an interesting point in time. We have our founding fathers, our pioneers to a degree, the guys who, you know, cut their teeth in the 70s and 80s and forged Wine New Zealand, really. They've sort of set the bar for us. They've forged this reputation, and that allows the younger generations to push the boundaries a little bit more, because I'm not fighting to prove the calibre of the place.
This year I have about 50 people flying in from Japan, all volunteers. And they came in and they harvest, and then we do a sorting. Usually, 10 people, 15 people, just to sort a ton of grape takes me maybe 3 days. We just go from bunch to bunch, berry to berry, just from basket into basket.
Using gravity at every single step of the winemaking process, we're able to respectfully sort of handle the fruit, retaining any tannin. In that way, any evolution of fruit complexity and tannin can evolve in the barrel or in the fermenter.
I had been working in the region. Actually, my first vineyard job was working in the vineyard in 1998 or something like that. It's been amazing to see the evolution of it. I think every vintage we see something, new. We see the quality increasing. I mean, I've only been really winemaking for a short term compared to some people, but gee, we've come a long way.
The area is still very young, the Gladstone area. For us, it is about turning a small little unknown region into somewhere really special and a point on the map.
We're perceived as being clean and green, and the longer we can keep that image to the world and improve on it, not go backwards, is key to Pinot Noir and its international growth.
We started exporting with the first bottle we produced. I think in the beginning people were more focused on the market in New Zealand, but now I see a lot more of our colleagues also traveling, and I think which is a good thing, because only if people go out there and tell the story about New Zealand and the wines and Pinot Noir, that's how the world will realize the quality. And so it's nice to have some fighters along the road, who tell the story as well.
I think that this country is designed for making great Pinot Noir, and I think that we're still just seeing the tip of the iceberg.